We have to treat farmers as business people. There are a lot of opportunities, and there are a lot of entrepreneurs who are waiting to leverage this opportunity.
Absolutely. It's National Farmers Day, so go talk to a farmer. You never know what you can help them with.
And this discussion is coming up right now.
Ho, 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 ho. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, friends. And we know we're just 2 days away from the big day, the magical day. And today is also the Farmers' Day celebration in India. And to discuss further, let me invite my friend from UK, Mr. Naval Gun.
Good morning, CK. Good morning, everybody. Yes, 2 days away from the magical day. And actually, Farmers' Day is a magical day because, frankly, without food, which comes from mostly from the land, um, you and I would starve. So this is a really important day in many respects, and I think what we need to do is to just bring people up to speed of how farming has changed over the years. Because I remember as a child, going to farms. My parents used to have friends who were farmers, and we'd go on a farm and we would do everything. We'd milk the cows, we'd, play around with all the sheep and just generally have a lot of fun. But a farmer's life is pretty tough, in many respects. So, what's it like in India for a farmer these days?
So, Naval, today is a Farmers' Day, and we are giving respects to the people who are involved in this trade of doing farming. And I understand that the it's not an easy job. It requires a lot of physical labor, and also the knowledge of weather pattern, and also the knowledge of soil, nutrition, and also the knowledge of what crop will grow at in what season and what they have to do. So I think it's very scientific. And many times when we eat food, we don't think about what has gone into producing that food. So I think today's day is very relevant for India. And as you rightly pointed out, farming has come a long way. It's mostly mechanized. And then specifically with regard to India, there are two predominant farming seasons. And why these seasons are there? Because the pattern in India are uh, very clearly for weather, which drives the whole landscape and the farming practices. Because if it rains so heavy during monsoon, there is nothing that can grow. So that is a time for keeping the field ready for the next phase of farming. So there is one season which happened, we just finished in November. The cultivation happened in November, and then the go downs are filled with food material across the country. And the next season will come just before the summer sets in. So there are very clearly two distinct uh, seasons, farming seasons, which drives almost 90 to 95% of the farm produce. So farmers in India have two seasons where they can make money. I will just try to bring a little bit of business around it. That means they have two marketplaces twice a year, and they have to do a lot of hard work again twice a year. So it's not something that we do it in our kitchen garden. That hey, if you want to grow some herb in my kitchen garden, I don't have to follow any weather pattern. But when it comes to the serious farming, which talks about many metric tons of produce, then you need to really follow the weather pattern. And that is why farming is a very big science, which people like us who have never done farming, including myself, don't really appreciate and respect those people who are involved in this trade. Um, so I think that is one aspect of the farming which I feel that we should respect the farmer, and that is why we have Farmers' Day celebrated today. Second thing is in India, there are a lot of cooperatives which are provided, and these are non-government initiatives. The business people, they come together and help create different kinds of facilities for farming people. So they provide hospitals for their animals. They provide advisory on different soil samples. They provide how to get these medicines back in their fields. And these are all cooperative movements where the farmers become member of different cooperatives, and they actually leverage certain activities which these cooperatives are bringing to them, and using them produce make their cultivation and produce the farming produce, and then the cooperatives then help them sell it also further. So it's a complete ecosystem which is available in India, which is being leveraged. And there are things like if the animal dies, then how to dispose of the remains. All that is part of all these activities so that the work happens smoothly and there are no hardships provided to the farmers when they are doing working really in the field. So I think there is a complete ecosystem around it in India.
Oh, there's definitely a complete ecosystem, and thanks for taking us through rather a rapid condensation of what goes on in the farming industry in India. And as you mentioned, cooperatives. As you well know, I use the word collaboration. Cooperatives are a collaboration, and they're a good collaboration. And a lot of businesses outside of the farming industry could actually help those cooperatives really succeed. Um, Anyone in the SaaS arena, software as a service, for instance, can join the fray, because guess what? Most farmers, they don't specialize in software. They don't specialize in this type of service. They're really good at doing what they are. So you could join these cooperatives, and we encourage you to go and do it. Go and talk to them. See what you can offer them from your world, because that's how we're all going to grow. Excuse the pun. But anyway, let's just think about one specific area: AI, artificial intelligence, or machine learning, or automated process. Because farming is one of those arenas that's had a lot of automation come in, probably quicker than quite a lot of other industries. For instance, just the process of milking cows today, it's not manual. I remember as a child, about 5 or 6 year old, and I'm sat on a stall and I'm milking a cow, you know, pulling udders. It was only a small farm and they hadn't gone into automation. Um, but it's how we learnt what, about husbandry of the farming arena, how animals are important to our future. But today, there isn't a milking farm in the world that hasn't got automation. You physically you go in and you see it's almost like a Ford production line. If you imagine the Model T Ford being built all those years ago on a production line, well, milk is a production line. The cow comes in, the machinery goes on its udders, and it pulls out a certain amount of milk dependent upon the cow. What I learned many years ago was that each cow doesn't produce the same amount of milk. So some cows actually are on different settings. And the farmer knows all this. And today, they don't even have to know it, because each cow is microchipped, and the microchip sets off, okay, I've now got Maisie the cow, and Maisie the cow has come into my stall, and Maisie, we're going to take exactly 4.5 pints from Maisie because she's on that particular cycle. So it's far more automated than people realize. And I wonder how many of our entrepreneurs out there have even thought about the processes that go on in this heavily automated arena. What do you think?
I think India as a country has a huge potential for getting these technologies in. Um, and there are other areas also related to farming. There is one area which is related to fresh water conservation. So India has a huge population and huge landmass. At the same time, it does not have a great freshwater source. We have few rivers, We have built a lot of dams. We try to, you know, get the water, fresh water from these rivers, which are predominantly coming from the Himalayas. But it is not sufficient. It is not sufficient. We have built channels all over the place, but that are not sufficient. So we are getting new technology on water conservation and drip irrigation from Israel, because Israel, they are the expert world leader in this area. So we're getting a lot of support from them. Similarly, in the area of AI and merging that with mobility, I think that will be a killer solution for India, because at a lower cost, a farmer will be able to use an app to control how much the drip irrigation he has to do in what section of the field, and also how much nutrients are required in the soil of a particular section of his field, so that his resources can be utilized appropriately. He does not water where there's enough moisture in the soil and look at the other area of the field. And similarly, he does not over fertilize the land where the fertilization is not required. So these are the things which a country like India would need, and I'm sure there are a lot of work happening by the Indian entrepreneurs in this area. I think the challenge we get right now is getting the sensors at a lower cost, because right now, uh, most of the sensors are manufactured out of China. Those are not very real good quality. The real good quality are being manufactured by Germany, but they are very expensive and they are far away from the reach of a common man. So I think that is where the challenge is. The software, automation, AI, dashboards are already there. With I know personally in my ecosystem, there are at least 10 to 15 companies, startups, and SMEs having these systems. The challenge they face is getting these sensors so that they can supply these to different sensors to farmers at a lower cost.
Yeah, as you say, we're really moved into technology in the farming industry, and I've got a couple of projects going on with a drone company where I'm a non-exec, and we're doing a lot of aerial mapping. You mentioned water. Water's a huge issue with regards to farming. In India, in monsoon, you got too much of it, and in many parts of the year, you've got none of it at all. So it's that conservation issue, and it's not just having the right crop in the right place, but it's also finding out where the water sources are. And as I say, we've got two big projects going on currently using drones, because you can get to pretty inaccessible parts of your land by using a drone, if you've got a really good pilot. There's another issue. There aren't many good drone pilots out there, so calling all drone pilots, let us know who you are. Um, you've got that issue of capturing a lot of data very quickly and creating something that someone else can then use. Because in the company that I'm helping, they haven't got water specialists. They're a drone company. They're very good at what they do. They map terrains. They do a 3D modeling, and they're using sensors. And as you say, sensors are really the way to go now. Um, we use sensors all over the place, and it's not just for farming, but for COVID, for instance. We're now taking temperatures from a whole area using one little sensor in a drone. It covers a huge amount of. Imagine a cylinder being formed around a drone. It's not quite a cylinder because it's almost like a cone. So you have a drone here, and in a conal area, you're actually measuring the temperature, which is absolutely fascinating. The amount of capability that we've built into all of these very small sensors is just phenomenal. But, we need to move on. And the key thing is there's lots of businesses out there, hopefully, are thinking, well, perhaps I need to be talking to farmers, perhaps I need to be, finding out what their problems are, because we've got some solutions that we we can't use anywhere else, and maybe they've got a problem. But like anything else, CK, there's no point in creating a great solution if you haven't got a problem. I remember many years ago, there's a program on the TV called Dragon's Den in the UK. It's got various different names around the world, but fundamentally, what you have is four or five money men, money people, that are sat in front of you, and you're pitching to them, and it's all televised. So it's done for entertainment, really. It's not the sort of place that I would suggest people go into, because it's the entertainment factor that they're after, not whether or not you've got a good entrepreneurial product. But I remember one particular product was a beach bag. And when you got to the beach, it rolled out as a towel. And I'll never forget what one entrepreneur said. One of the dragons said, they said, so what you've invented is a beach towel in a beach bag. And they said, yes, fundamentally, that's what we've done. He said, well, I've got a beach bag and I've got lots of different beach towels. So why would I buy yours? Which means when I roll out my beach bag, I haven't got a beach bag. So if I want to go, somewhere else and I want to take my beach bag with me, I've got to take my towel. My simple point here is, don't create a solution until you find a problem. If there's a big problem in the world, and believe you me, there's lots of problems in farming that they'd love to solve, but they're thinking as farmers. They're thinking of what they've currently done. Don't get me wrong, they're probably quite well advanced. So they're thinking in an advanced way, but they're perhaps not thinking the way you think in your industry. I've spent a lot of my career working in oil and gas, and you wouldn't be surprised, but many people are surprised about what we as a management team would look at elsewhere and bring it into the oil industry, because we'd never seen it before. Some of the most simplest things in different industries that they take for granted, that I would sit there and look at it and go, wow, we could do this and this and this where we are, which was a real leap of faith in our industry. But for them, it was common sense. So the message, I think, today is, being National Farmers Day, think about what you could do for the farming industry, but find out what their problems are first. And how do you do that? Have a conversation with a farmer or someone that works in the sector and ask them, what are your problems?
So, Naval, I think you made a fantastic point of identifying what is the problem, and I think the entrepreneurs need a problem to solve. I think that is where the entrepreneurship is, based at. So, there is another issue with with farmers in India specifically, is that they have to now take the next leap. It's not only the technology available to them at a very, very lower cost, they also need to find advanced ways to sell their produce. So there is a requirement for, some sort of e-market, so that they can sell their produce directly from their farm, and they don't have to carry the truckload of produce into some central location and then try to sell their produce on in an exchange. So the exchange can be brought as part of their uh, portal, which will help them find out soil condition, water condition, health of the plant, weather pattern, and also the e-market. So I think there is a whole lot of integration possible uh, for the benefit of Indian farmers, and that has not yet happened. I think the field is quite open. Uh, there are a lot of ideas which a lot of entrepreneurs can leverage and provide to this segment. And as you rightly pointed out, Naval, and I'm very thankful to you for saying that we have to treat farmer as a businessman, because we have not treated them as a businessman so far. So we talk about their problem, but nobody goes and talk to them. So I think the first step would be to go and find out what they need. I think at this juncture we can end our discussion. There are many things to discuss, but I think we will celebrate Farmers Day. And after 2 days, there is going to be Christmas, the magical day. So I wish you once again a very happy Christmas.
A very happy Christmas to you. And don't forget, farmers are real people. Go and talk to them. You've probably got something that can really help them, but only if you have the conversation. And they're not going to come to you because they don't know you. They don't even know what you do. But at least you've got the advantage. You know what they do. Or do you? We'll see. It's great talking with you, CK. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you, Reval, and we will catch up tomorrow again. Bye bye.
Cheerio.